How do you know we're not on the precipice of another great housing crash? And what I like to show them is this graph of appreciation of US residential homes going back to 1942. We have a tremendous amount of data to look back on so that we can kind of erase our recency bias and not just be looking at the period of the Great Recession, which is what so many of us are anchored into. So let me walk you through this. Starting in 1942, we tracked the national appreciation rate of residential homes according to the S&P Case-Shiller and the BLS report. And what you'll see is in 1942, home values went up 3%, 1943, 11%, so on and so forth. And for this decade, we saw 129% appreciation. That was a good decade to be a residential landlord, baby. Now, the decade before was obviously the Great Depression, probably not that great of a decade, but came out of that very strong. How about the 1950s? 36% appreciation over that 10-year period of time. Excuse me, that was the 50s. How about the 60s? 23% appreciation. How about the 70s? 130% appreciation. How about the 80s? 77% appreciation. And team, not one down year. In 1955, there was 0% appreciation, but not one down year of real estate values through the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. That's amazing. 1990s, down 1%. 1991, down 0.1%. But if you hung on for the decade, you still had 30% real estate appreciation. How about the 2000s? 66% appreciation despite the worst housing disruption since the Great Depression, down 5% in 7, down 12% in 2008, down 4% in 2009. But if you were in a home for a decade, you still had 66% appreciation. 2010s started the decade off, 4% depreciation, 4% depreciation in 2011. But if you had the stamina to hold on through that decade, you still saw 45% appreciation. And team, in the first 5 years here of the 2020s, we're already at 51% appreciation. So I would just simply point out, trying to time the market is a fool's errand. Time in the market is the predictor of your ability to grow wealth in real estate.